Apple last week announced its brand new iPad Pro with M5 chip, and I just got my unit in to test. Obviously, I'll do a full review soon, but today I just wanted to go through what's new on the M5 iPad Pro. Now, the model that I have here is the 13-inch version in Wi-Fi and cellular. It's space black and comes with 512 gigabytes of storage. You can also get nano texture display, but only if you upgrade to a 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte model. And you can also unlock one more core if you do that of CPU power, so giving you 10 in total. But the current model that I have here has 9-core CPU and a 10-core GPU. Inside of the box, you do get a charging brick and a color matching cable. So I have a black cable here, which is nice to see. I'm actually surprised you still get a charging adapter inside. Maybe one day Apple will actually color match that. My guess is they'll probably just remove it before that happens, but that does complete our minimal unboxing experience. Now, the biggest thing that's new here with the entire iPad is basically the new M5 chip. The new iPad Pro has a 15% faster CPU, 35% faster GPU compared to the M4. I ran Geekbench to show you the differences between my M4 and my M5, and as you can see here, we do have some pretty modest gains for an impressive year-over-year improvement. It's also worth pointing out that Apple focused a lot of the new processing power on AI features when it was announced, and how much better these new chips and these new iPads specifically would be with AI, apps and experiences inside of those apps. And so I just got my unit in. I do have a list of apps that I'm going to test, but I just haven't had a chance to do that. But if there are any apps or AI features that you do want me to test with this new M5, please let me know in those comments down below, and I'll include them in my full review. Apple also increased memory, so you're going up to 12 gigabytes of RAM now for the models with 256 and 512, which is what I have here. The 1 and 2 terabyte configurations still have 16 gigs of RAM. Speaking of storage, Apple says the new iPad Pro offers up to 2 times faster SSD read and write speeds compared to the previous generation. So if you're using this for content creation or really any workflow that involves transferring really large files from, say, an external drive to your iPad's drive or vice versa, you should see much better read and write speeds and transfer speeds for those situations. You also get Apple's brand new custom N1 chip for Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 6 support. However, the chip only supports up to 160 megahertz channel bandwidth for Wi-Fi 7, which is short of the standard's 320 megahertz maximum. Apple says the chip also improves the overall performance and reliability of features like AirDrop and personal hotspot. The other connectivity improvement here is Apple's brand new C1X modem, which was introduced just last month alongside the iPhone Air. If you have an iPad Pro with cellular capabilities, Apple says this new iPad will have up to 50% faster cellular data performance than its predecessor, and power efficiency is also improved with this C1X chip. Obviously, I'll definitely be testing these aspects far more in my full review. I'm actually a pretty heavy cellular data user on my iPad Pro, especially when I'm traveling. And connections were always pretty much great, but, I guess it's going to depend on the carrier. I use Verizon. Verizon has been fantastic on my iPad Pro, but it'll be interesting to see if I notice any major improvements in speeds or stability. The new iPad Pro can also drive external displays at up to 120 Hz refresh rate, and adaptive sync is now supported, resulting in smoother scrolling and gameplay with lower latency on the external display. Unfortunately, I don't have a monitor that supports all of this right now. I have a Studio display and a Pro Display XDR, so no 120 Hz refresh rate. But I do want to point out that the image Apple uses to promote this looks a lot like a Studio display. Perhaps the rumors of a 120 Hz refresh rate on a Studio display and a Pro Display XDR might be true. Maybe we'll see one coming soon. Who knows? Lastly, the M5 iPad Pro also supports fast charging. Apple says up to 50% charge can be reached in around 30 minutes for the 11-inch model and 35 minutes for the 13-inch model. Apple hasn't shared similar figures for previous iPad Pro models, so it's unclear how much, if at all, this is an improvement, but they have been talking about this, so it's worth noting. Now, I know one of the biggest questions is always, should I upgrade to this iPad? And I'd probably say not if your current iPad Pro has a 3 or 4 after the M, but if you're sitting there with an M1, maybe an M2, and it's not working out quite well, Apple does boast a lot of incredible stats to prove that it just might be worth upgrading, especially if you have the M1. And so in terms of power, you get 6.7 times faster rendering performance, 5.6 times faster AI performance compared to the M1, as well as 6 times faster video transcoding performance. So if you use any of those features on an iPad, then this might be worth it. You also get a beautiful, lightweight, thin design that was introduced last year on the M4 model. But this new iPad Pro, especially the 13-inch with M5, has somehow gotten even thinner, now coming in at 5.1 millimeters thin. And it's even a quarter pound lighter than last year's version. It also comes with the fantastic Ultra Retina XDR OLED display, which was also new last year, and even offers a nano texture option if that's something that you would want. You'll also get access to some wonderful accessories, the brand new Apple Pencil Pro, the Magic Keyboard, which was redesigned recently. And honestly, that's my favorite kind of accessory of all time for the iPad. I use it all the time, especially with the larger model. If you have a, 11-inch, I think you can get away with using a folio case, which I do like, but I think the keyboard is kind of a must with a larger iPad. I even use it on my 11-inch, let's just be honest here. It just feels like a MacBook Pro experience, especially with iPadOS 26 being more Mac-like than ever. I think it's definitely worth getting. So that's what's new on the M5 iPad Pro. I will have a full review very, very soon, and then the next few weeks or so. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that video. And of course, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you around in the next video.